Aston Villa fans, you've just been beaten 3-1 at PSG, but why does it feel so close but yet so far? I kind of feel like at 2-1, it's a great result to take back to Villa Park and you're thinking, we can really take the game to PSG. But at 3-1, especially conceding so late, it kind of just felt like meh. But are you a glass half full or a glass half empty kind of person? I'm definitely a glass half full, and I actually think this tie isn't over. Tactically, I can see exactly what Unai Emery was trying to do. Tame PSG, catch them on a break. And personally, I don't think Aston Villa fans can argue too much against the way Aston Villa set up, because we all knew PSG were going to dominate possession because tactically, their midfielders are absolutely sensational. They want to get on the ball. They're technically gifted. Their awareness, their sharpness, their speed of thought is to the highest elitist level. But one of Aston Villa's biggest qualities and best qualities is their physicality and power in offensive transition moments. Two things killing football: pace and movement. Villa have both in abundance, and I think Unai Emery set them up to play at this advantage. Aston Villa's shape defensively was excellent, and I thought when PSG entered the final third, Aston Villa, their box defending was absolutely on point, ushering PSG across, providing gentle pressure, just enough that can't be eliminated out the game or packed out the game. Eventually, there was going to be a moment of break. Aston Villa needed to seize that opportunity, and boy, did they. Morgan Rogers, being the man of the moment, he is stepping up at every single opportunity. 2 years ago today, the 10th of April 2023, Morgan Rogers was starting up front for Blackpool in the Championship. Now he's scoring in the quarter-final of the Champions League away to PSG. Now, not only if Aston Villa have an enormous rise over the past 2 years that you can be incredibly proud of, these individual players have also had an enormous rise over the past 2 years. But I kind of feel like that game was as expected. I expected Aston Villa to not see much of the ball. I expected them to do a lot of defending, and I thought they did on the night, and they were very good at it. I thought they kept the concentration levels really well. They were compact, making it solid for PSG and breaking down. PSG had their moments. Of course, they were going to have their moments. But all 4 goals, even Aston Villa's goal, was to the highest quality. I don't think Aston Villa could have done much to prevent any goal apart from that second goal that we're going to touch upon very soon. So we're all going to break down all those goals. But I want to talk about PSG just for a second, because they're a beautiful watch. Every single player, technically gifted, the work hard, they're tenacious off the ball, the way they zip the ball about, their rotational movement, their awareness, their technical quality, as I mentioned before, is to the highest level. But the beauty about this PSG side, and what I'm impressed about the most, is the way they hunt the ball down in packs once they lose possession. Their hunger and fight to win the ball back makes them a formidable force, and that's why it's so difficult for teams to really play through them, because they hunt the ball down in packs. They leave no stone unturned when they lose possession. And I just thought it was tactically very good from PSG, tactically very good from Aston Villa, because I don't think there was much more Aston Villa could do. And I say much more because there is slight tweaks I would have made personally. But the way Unai Emery set them up, I think every single body out there would have set Aston Villa up in the exact same way. Now, there are a couple of points I want to make. You can make a case to say it nearly worked for Aston Villa, going 1-0 up and nearly coming back to Villa Park at 2-1. But the main issue about defending your box and putting 10 men behind the ball throughout the full 90 minutes, one pass can eliminate your full team out of the game. If they find that space and exploit that space, can take your whole team out of the game. It takes away the element of your attack. So we're seeing Marcus Rashford be very isolated. We're seeing Morgan Rogers be very isolated at times. But it also gives them the encouragement to the opposition to attack, and eventually they will break through. So I kind of feel like Villa defended their box really well. They were compact, showed great communication, concentration levels. But if I am nitpicking, Villa could have been a lot more aggressive just in that middle third and a lot more ambitious in their midfield press in certain moments to win the ball back and really break from there. Just as we're seeing with the John McGinn goal, I thought that set the blueprint on how to win the ball back and how to break and really get at PSG. And I think the difference in the second leg, we're going to see a lot more of that. In my personal opinion, I'm going to tell you exactly how I would set up in the second leg. But I want to talk about Marcus Rashford for a second, because I've seen a lot of people online saying he was lazy, he didn't do a job. That's a load of nonsense, because Unai Emery wanted Rashford to stay high. He wanted them to pin the centre-backs as high as possible, but also be an outlet for Aston Villa. Now, if you have Rashford running from full-back to centre-back to full-back, just literally doing shuttle runs for the full 90 minutes, it's absolutely pointless, especially at this elite level, because the chances of you winning the ball is zero. Pretty much zero, because the way PSG just knock the ball about, their intelligence, their speed of thought, the way they can just really bait the press and then just knock the ball about you, it would have been pointless for Marcus Rashford just to do shuttle runs all 90 minutes. So Unai Emery wanted him, and I'm pretty sure he gave him the instructions just to conserve his energy, just for crucial moments for when that break does come. That break didn't come very often, but you've still got to anticipate and expect that break to come. If Ollie Watkins had started above Marcus Rashford, he would have been given the same instructions. I've got no doubt Unai Emery would have said to him, don't do those shuttle runs. Let their back four have the ball. We'll be nice and compact. We'll close the space. We'll not engage. We'll not go to a man-to-man press. We'll just be compact. Let their back four have the ball. So when we do win possession, you're that first point to break and really get in behind and try and transition very quickly. Conserve your energy for those moments. And that's how I kind of feel like Marcus Rashford was tactically asked to do. I don't think he was asked to do those shuttle runs for those people that are saying, "Oh, wasn't working hard enough." It wasn't about that. It was about working smarter rather than harder for Marcus Rashford last night. Because imagine if Aston Villa had an opportunity to break and Rashford didn't have the energy to run those 30 yards. You would have been thinking in your head that was a moment missed. So you've just got to be alert to those sort of things. And I don't think he was tactically asked to do shuttle runs. Now it's time to have a look at where the game was won and lost. And this is just the opening stages of the game. I just want to point out Villa's shape. I thought they defended well, kept their back four, the line really clean, really nice, avoiding any space in behind. And I just wanted to point it out. But this is what I was talking about, finding those moments, crucial moments to win the ball back to midfield. And I kind of feel like Aston Villa were a little bit more brave, which I do think there will be at Villa Park. And I'm getting excited about that game already, because I think we're going to see a different Aston Villa. We're going to be talking about that very shortly. But this was John McGinn winning the ball back for Villa's goal. If you look at Aston Villa, they're brave here. They've come out of their shape. They've been expressive. They're winning the ball back. And this is what I mean. This PSG side is there to be got at if you can win the ball back early, because they leave gaps. The way they're rotating and looking to influence the game in possession, they're switching off defensively. So John McGinn wins the ball back very cleanly. But what I'm talking about, movement kills in football. Yuri Tielemans opens up the space to really make this goal happen. He's being brave, getting behind that last man, trying to get him behind, trying to make a difference, trying to make things happen. He's evacuated his space. Now, even if PSG win the ball back, he's left his area. They can break, but he's being brave, and that's what I like about Aston Villa. When they're brave, they're so good. Marcus Rashford plays the ball down the line. Yuri Tielemans back across goal. Morgan Rogers finishes. But I want to talk about the bodies that Aston Villa are putting in the box. This is how you score goals, because if he doesn't make that run centrally, that PSG player doesn't come across, and Morgan Rogers is not left by himself. This is why I'm saying movement kills in football. Even he doesn't even touch the ball. That player in the centre of the pitch doesn't even touch the ball. But if he's not there, Morgan Rogers doesn't score. So it's about Aston Villa being brave, and I just thought it was a brilliantly worked goal from Aston Villa. And Aston Villa go 1-0 up, and you think, is this the moment? Can they see this game out? Maybe take the game back to Villa Park at 1-1 if they do concede. Everything Aston Villa would do and set up was perfect at the minute. But this was Desire Doué's goal. And sometimes you concede, and you just need to hold your hands up and say, that was a brilliant goal. Not much we could have done about that, because look at Aston Villa's shape there. I kind of feel like if I'm Emery, I'm looking at that shape thinking, we're comfortable there. Doué's got the ball there. Not many people can score from there. He opens up an angle, but really, we're quite comfortable. He's got nobody to find in the box because we're defensively very compact. We've got a good line, defending in 6 bodies, and we're very comfortable there. Very, very comfortable. But this is the difference. The quality of player. This is the quality you come up against in the Champions League, and sometimes you've just got to say that was a brilliant goal. There's not much different we could have done to prevent that goal. Maybe we could have closed the space down a little earlier. Maybe we should have anticipated Desire Doué coming in on his right-hand side. But look, there's not much Aston Villa could have done to prevent that goal. I think it's quite harsh to be nitpicky there, because I kind of feel like they're in a perfect shape to avoid scoring there. If Desire Doué tries to cross it in the box, I've got no doubt one of Aston Villa's centre-halves will win that ball. So it's just the quality of the strike that's the difference. This is what I'm talking about. This is the opening stages of the second half, and look at how brave Aston Villa are. Aston Villa have completely come away from what they did in the first half, and look at all the bodies. They're pretty much attacking with 4 players, 5 players if you want to include Tielemans. And this is where PSG have the space to now break, and this is where the goal comes from. But as you know, Disasi comes on at halftime for Matty Cash, and I'm sorry to tell you, I've said this before, Axel Disasi is not right back. He's not comfortable in the right back situation, and it's solely for this reason. Now, the ball gets switched across to Kvaratskhelia. This is the exact moment that Axel Disasi needs to close down the space and engage, because the moment he keeps on backing off gives Kvaratskhelia the ability to control the situation. And then the moment Kvaratskhelia gets in that penalty area, he's got the ability to manipulate, open up an angle, and have a strike. And that's exactly what we're seeing. So this was the moment Axel Disasi engages, because what he does there, if he engages, that forces Kvaratskhelia into a negative touch. So a touch away from goal. And then, as you can see, Konsa's a covering centre-back. That'll then give him time to double up on Kvaratskhelia. So Axel Disasi has to engage in that moment. That's the only way you prevent this goal, because as soon as Kvaratskhelia gets into this position, he can pack 1, 2, 3 players out the game with just a drop of the shoulder, and that's exactly what happens. He absolutely sells Disasi back to Villa Park, turns on his left shoulder, opens up the strike. All he needs is half a yard. Beautiful bit of play from him. Beautifully executed, a beautiful strike with his left foot. He's weaker left foot, by the way. But as soon as you allow him to get into the situation, he's in control of the situation. So this was the moment that Axel Disasi needs to go and engage, because as soon as he engages, even if Kvaratskhelia moves the ball past him, it puts him off his stride, and then Konsa wins the ball. I've got no doubt Konsa wins the ball. If he knocks the ball 5 yards past Disasi, he's got to move around Disasi, and that gives Konsa enough time to come around and cover. Even if he doesn't knock the ball past him and takes a negative touch out wide, that allows Konsa to double up on Kvaratskhelia. And then I've got no doubt in that situation, Kvaratskhelia goes backwards instead of forwards. So it's fine margins that win a game of football, just engaging at the right time. And Disasi didn't engage at the right time. I'm not putting it all down to him, because look, in that moment, in that situation, it's incredibly hard to make that decision, but he just made the wrong decision. And then Kvaratskhelia beautifully executed a moment of magic, but he shouldn't even have been getting in this position, is what I'm trying to say. For the large proportions of that game, Villa defended tremendously. And again, when you give, this was their 3rd goal, and is what I'm talking about, the movement of PSG causes so many problems. That's a left back trying to get in behind. That's not even a striker. That's not even a winger. That's a left back, Nuno Mendes, running in behind. But if you give their midfielders or strikers this much time and space on the ball, they've got that awareness, they've got that understanding of the game, they've got that eye of a needle pass to really punish you. Villa haven't even done much wrong here. It's all about the quality of the pass and the quality of the run. And then Nuno Mendes has the composure of a striker to really sell Emi Martinez in the goal and then put it in the back stick. But I kind of feel like it was the moment Aston Villa went 3-1 down at this late stage of the game that's really a dagger in the heart. It's really a kick in the dick, because you kind of feel like we've got 3 minutes to see the game out, and to concede at this late stage, that's the annoying thing. But having said that, Aston Villa can be immensely proud about their efforts this season. I'm not trying to sound patronising. I generally mean it. Competing at the pinnacle of football, they went to PSG and really were in the game. They had their moments. Yes, there were half chances, but you now know what you're up against at Villa Park. Desire Doucouré deserves a special mention, and I think Morgan Rogers, Tielemans were exceptional, and I think John McGinn just biting into challenge in the middle of the park were excellent for Aston Villa. But Desire Doucouré deserves a special mention. He's been exceptional all season, and it showed on the night. He caused Villa a lot of problems, and it was a real mature performance from a young man. Kvaratskhelia provided a moment of brilliance, and this can be the difference at this level. Now I feel Villa have no option but to go for the kill. Anything can happen in a game of football. You get an early goal, you get a penalty, a sending off for PSG. But an early start for Aston Villa at Villa Park is vital. Really put PSG on the back foot. Really try and impose your game on PSG, because I feel like Aston Villa at this stage have got nothing to lose. I feel like the second leg, what they can do differently is defend 5 yards further up the pitch, squeeze the middle of the pitch, suffocate the space that their midfielders have, and try and physically impose yourself on PSG. Every time PSG have been beaten this season, it's been against teams that have been physically dominant against them. Toulouse really were physical against PSG. They beat them at home. You had Arsenal beat them. You had Bayern beat them. A lot of physical teams have beaten PSG, and I feel like that's how you really get better at PSG. Yes, that leaves space in behind, but trust your ability to put PSG off their game, giving them so much space in the middle, and the second leg game will go the exact same way. What I want to say is good luck for the second leg. Whatever happens, it's been an exceptional journey. Should be proud to be a Villa fan. And again, I'm not saying that to sound patronising, because you've earned the right to really put your name in lights. And I feel like at the second leg, we're going to see a different Aston Villa, in my opinion. And I really hope we do. I really hope we're seeing Aston Villa that really thrives in the moment and takes the moment at PSG. But look, enough about what I think. I want to hear what you think. Let me know in the comments below. How do you think the second leg will go? Do you think you've got an opportunity? Or I think it puts PSG in a terrible situation, because they defend their lead, or do they really go out and attack like we're seeing last night? So it puts them in a sticky situation just as much as Aston Villa. But I kind of feel like Aston Villa have got nothing to lose now. The 3-1 down, just go out, play a natural game, try and impose yourself on them. Don't be afraid, be brave in possession. And I think that's how you get a PSG, in my opinion. But I want to know your opinion. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And generally, good luck for the rest of the season, unless you're playing against Newcastle at Villa Park. But the rest of the games, I want you to win away the Villa.